Hi, Dan Alexander here, and this episode is brought to you by Required, the all-in-one go-to platform for serious recruitment professionals, owners, and founders who are looking to grow their businesses. Now, we'll actually be launching the new online platform very soon, and if you'd like to be one of the first people to get access to our state-of-the-art learning platform and vault of online resources, then get in touch with us through the link in the description of this episode.
Welcome to the Recruiter Startup Podcast. Joined today by Dan Alexander. How are you, sir?
You're very good, sir. Very good. Thank you very much. Just chilling in my beach condo right here.
Wow, lovely. Did Andy Hallett lend you that? Did
he? Yeah, he lent me his green screen to go with it as well.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, so what's happening? Did you say you were taking care of your kids this week?
Yeah, they've gone in the UK. Obviously, they've just gone back, right? After the long 6-week half term, which feels like forever.
6 weeks.
My daughter's school have decided in their wisdom, they've been back like literally 2 minutes. They want another 2 weeks off holiday. So I've got her for 2 weeks again. Just don't know how you're supposed to get any work done around here, you know?
Yeah, I don't either. Bill more money, pay for more childcare. That's what we need to do. What am I doing today? I've school pickup in 50 minutes. Do you think we can bash this out? Do you think we can give enough wisdom over the next half an hour to make this awesome?
I know we can. All
right, okay. I've got open mats tonight. I'm going to strangle some guys today because I've had a lot of offers turned down this week. Got some good news though.
What's that?
We've moved to Gibraltar, so we're in the system here now. We managed to get a little investment property.
Oh, nice.
Did it through the business as well. So a buddy of mine's a lawyer, and he was like, "Hey, I'm doing this. What do you reckon?" I was like, "Well, how does it work?" 2 days later, no problem. Off plan. I feel like we bought the most expensive hotel room in the world as an investment, but quite exciting, and was able to do it through the business. This little banana republic that we've moved to, God bless it. Once you're in it, they take care of you.
What's the number one biggest thing you do actually miss?
From where?
Well, that's a good question, yeah, because you lived around. Like the UK, right? You were in the UK for a while. Yeah. What do you miss about the UK?
Nothing.
No, don't hold back.
Yeah, zero. Nothing, nada, not one thing. I think actually nothing, because I can just go to Spain and get it there. And we have the English speaking thing here. I miss being young and in Australia, or single and in Brussels, or in the UK. I had 2 kids under 2, like. I was trying to build a business, buy and renovate a house, and living in the mother-in-law's like village. Like it's a cocktail to emigrate, really. So here we are. It's all good. I've got open mat tonight. Excited. Charlotte's coming too. She's all into her jiu-jitsu right now. She's a bit of a spazzy white belt, but what can you do? What other crack do I have? So what do I want to talk about today? Wanted to talk about rookies starting in recruitment. Let's got a couple of things written down here. Advice for rookies.
Me too.
Top 5 things for rookies.
You want to go one for one, or do you want to do like mine and yours, or how do you want to do this?
All right, you go first. Go one for one.
All right. Okay. Cool. So top 5 bits of advice for rookies. So number 1, my first bit of advice for rookies is to realize that it is actually a hardcore sales job. And I think so many people come into this industry thinking it's just part of it. But for me, that is the biggest thing about recruitment, is that you are selling.
Okay. All right, fine. And within sales, I think we can say that there's lots of other skills that do that. We're not just talking about presenting, are we?
No, Absolutely not. No. So selling is not just about the selling part of selling, in my opinion, is probably the smallest part because there's a lot of investigative stuff there, questioning. But for me, that's all part of great sales, right? So, like, yeah, I think, and you've also got to think about like the context of who's listening to this. I mean, a rookie coming into an established business versus a rookie setting up their own firm. There are going to be some other skills that you're going to need to learn, but in terms of the actual just looking at the recruitment piece, you're trying to persuade somebody else that they need to get from point A to point B, and you're the mechanism to get them there. And that is a sales job. You're selling dreams.
Selling dreams. All right. So point number one, no arguments. But my number one is really choosing where you start and where you learn that process. And I was very lucky that I started in, and I'll give you the criteria for a good soft landing in our industry. I started in Australia, which is easier than the UK. Let's be honest, right? I also started in a mining boom, right? That's where there's loads of money for digging stuff out of the ground, selling it to China, and the money's washing around, and people just move for 20 grand more here and there. And really, like, if you're in a good country with a good local marketplace, and then criteria number 3 on that, I joined Robert Walters, world-class training, world-class like database, advertisement budget, like management, all of that. I was lucky that within that I had the best manager in the group. Now, I had an offer from Hayes at the same time, right? And they have a lot of the stuff that Walters had, but I kind of liked the manager more at Hayes. I thought, oh, it could be your mate. Whereas the other one at Walters, I was like, oh, I kind of need this. This is going to be a tough relationship, but I had a gut feeling that that person would keep me right. And I was right. So the other bit within that, again, in choosing, is get the right desk. You know, people are like, oh, no, you don't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Recruitment's recruitment. It's not, right? It's not. Get into a good, high-end, ideally technical or executive recruitment, or brilliant, like transactional, temporary with good margins. Scarcity is key. And I got into technology. I did perm, but a few wee contractors, perm, like we had loads of accounts, like nice group of team with all that there. So, like,
what questions would you be asking if you were a rookie coming into this about the marketplace to understand? Because, right, a lot of people aren't going to know what a good desk or a bad desk is. Like, people just, it's like saying,
well, I think
want to get into
like,
it, right?
you know, you have to look at it logically. What's a good job? Like, you know, you don't want to, like, okay, who wants to be like, you brought your dog there. Who wants to be a dog groomer? Like, very few people want to wash a dog's arse. Like, you know, so don't go recruiting for that. Like, imagine the margins would be small. Like, you don't grow up thinking, oh, I'll do that. Like, you kind of end up doing that.
Maybe there's a good niche there.
Yeah. But hey, we're told about the professions. We're told about like lawyers, and accountants, and technical professionals like engineers and technology professionals, right? So those jobs, there's always going to be a scarcity of people who can do those jobs, and they're jobs that people need. So also the salary is going to be good, right? And as we know, we charge a percentage of salary. So if we're charging 20% of a lawyer's annual salary of 200 grand, straight away, that's better than doing 20% of a bookkeeper from Crawley. Like, you know, like, so how many bookkeepers from Crawley do you have to do to make the exact same amount to place that lawyer? So think of it logically on that front. But now that, like, back then, I feel old, but like back then, like there wasn't as much research out there. Now, you know, you can work it out pretty quick. But in general, if it's a high-end, well-paid job where there's scarcity, then that's it. But loads of people do that. It's then choosing am I in the right location to do it? Like if you're in the UK and you're thinking, I want to get into recruitment, go to London, go to Manchester. Don't be doing it from like Burnley or like small little it doesn't make as much sense. I know now with remote it's better, but go where all the talent goes and get into being in a competitive environment with other like really hungry people who want to make it work. Because what you'll find is the best companies are going to be based in those hubs as well, because they want access to the best young talent to do it. And you're just going to find the better people help you raise your game. And then it's doing research on the company. So like, do they have a track record? What is the average age profile of people within it? LinkedIn can spit out all of this stuff for you. And then we're looking at like their training. You can look up their company's financial results. You could look up what the average tenure is. And don't be afraid to ask these questions in an interview. And this goes for experienced hires as much as people getting into the industry.
I think we talked about this on a previous podcast about the swimmer's body illusion, right? About how the sport picks you and not the other way around. And I think just hearing you talk there, it's quite interesting because I don't want to say the less intelligent, but I apparently have got no other words to describe it. The less intelligent applicants are not going to do those things. So they're going to be by proxy drawn to industries that are lower standards. So I think the better the recruiter, the higher up and the higher end they're going to land, because a lot of this stuff they're going to do naturally anyway.
Maybe and maybe not. So maybe somebody might be a bit more analytical, but sometimes hiring people that are highly analytical, they can have a little bit too much independent thought. They might want to create their own pathways and they won't do what they're supposed to do. And they tend not to be the biggest billers. So there has to be a bit of analysis on the get in. Over-analyzing is also a crippling thing. So in summary on that, choose the location, choose the industry, choose the company, choose the team within the company, and choose the leader. And work out then what your roadmap is from what they sell you. And just plow on straight through it. So
I'm going to have to up my game on this because you've just roasted me 1-0 easily. Like the comprehension behind your answer versus
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Right. Number 2, Dan Alexander. Let's go.
All right, man. All right. Okay. So for me, point number 2. So I would say at some point in the first 3 months of doing the job, you're going to realize you probably it's probably harder than you first thought. Yeah. Right. And you're going to be at a crossroads. And the choice you're going to make is, do you carry on doing the thing, right, and get through it, is what I call the trough of disillusionment, or do you bounce out the industry and it's just recruitment was just something you tried, right? The statistic of obviously how many rookies don't make it, I mean, you're going to have better data on that.
I can make it up.
Do it. Throw in a statistic.
1 in 3 survive.
Love it, right? 1 in 3.
What one will make the usual stats. 1 will make you money, 1 will break even, 1 will cost you.
Okay. And there's probably a lot of accuracy in that, actually, if you really distill it down. But ultimately, the reason why is because it's tough, right? It's hard. And understanding that before you get into it, if nobody says to you, like, in fact, in interview, I tell people, you're going to hate this job. You're going to hate me at some point in the next 3 months, I promise you, right? And your success is dependent on that day. On that day where you wake up and you get out of bed and you're, I don't really feel up for this, right? I'm not sure. Have I made the biggest mistake? Do you still go into work on that day? Or do you bail, right? And I think that probably every recruiter I've ever met at some point, probably in the first year at least, but normally earlier on, because that's when it's all new, they have that realization. And to understand that realization is almost like a rite of passage and the trough of disillusionment. When you're in the mud and you're at the bottom and you're thinking like, right, I need to crawl out of this, and seeing everybody else around you that's been in recruitment and doing well has crawled out of that and there is a path out, right? Understanding that before you go into the industry, in my opinion, is probably maybe we could get the 1 in 3 up to 1 in 5 if people just knew that from the outset.
All right. I'm raging. My number 2 is exactly the same. So I have survival as number 2. And just on your point there. So all I'll do is expand on a couple of bits of that. The reason why in rookie interviews, they do look for, what are you good at? Like, talk to me about your sporting background. And people are like, oh, I don't have to do sport, whatever. It could be martial arts, it could be whatever. It could be academia. What we want to see is gradual and continual progress and sticking to something. That stickability of this, you are going to hit a bump at a time. Can you get up and do it again? And can you do what you're told? And can you get on with other people? And that is more important than the most charismatic person coming in and impressing everybody and being all flowery and stuff. Like that stuff, whatever. The survival piece, doing what you're told and following a process is much more important. So that's where we drive into that. The other thing about survival is, if you do the work and you're clever, right? You have to be clever to survive. So look around the room. Who's making money? Can they introduce you to clients? Can you see, have they hacked something that, what are they doing? Are they out meeting clients a lot, or are they at their desk a lot? Or like, study what they're doing. See if you can just game the system a little bit. Find that top performer. Stay away from the poison in the room. Have a good look. Who's not going to make it here? Who's the one who's moaning already? Who's like, have a look at that person and go, the I can't catch a break guy. You're out big time. Which one of these is moving to internal recruitment in 6 months? I'm not dealing with you either. Okay, cool. Who's in this? Because this is hard. It's going to be worth it, but we have to walk through the fire. So number 2's a tie, my friend. Number 2's a tie. Number 3, I think you're going to smoke me on number 3. What's your third?
Your feelings are completely irrelevant, right? So your feelings are none of your goddamn business in recruitment in the early days. You need to get over yourself, right? How you feel doesn't matter. No one gives a shit. And the more you realize that, the more you realize, okay, if you feel, and that's the problem. Everyone's looking for motivation rather than discipline. BD is a great example for rookies. BD power hour comes around or whatever, and they're off doing candidate catch-up calls when they're new. It's the same time every day, right? Their manager's probably bollocking them. So for me, I think that recruitment roller coaster, right? The ups and downs, the roller coaster is for rookies, right? The successful recruiters, they ride the train. And that train ride is smooth. You don't get peaks, you don't get troughs. Like, you can still go out and celebrate a deal. Obviously that's what we're here for. But they don't go on tilt, right? And to be honest, I don't really give a shit how you feel. You need to pick up the phone. You need to do the job. You need to call the candidate. You need to do the thing that you probably don't want to do. It's probably very important for you to do it. So my number 3, your feelings are none of your goddamn business.
All right. So the problem I have with this point is it's an emotive business. And if you're in a charged up room, we have leaderboards, we have celebrations, we're getting people excited, we're making them feel unbelievable. We're looking at the people who are on performance management like they have AIDS. It's like there's 2 different people. I sat next to a mate of mine, right? And we put him on performance management, right? And really good mate, great guy. And he was a really good recruiter, still in it, great lad, right? But he was on performance management, and he had a wee notebook that he had to fill out all his activity, and we tormented him about it. And he got through it, and he was fine and all the rest, and he ended up getting another job, more money, all of that. But again, it comes down to staying away from all the negativity, and it's really hard because we have heroes and villains. Like we've consultant of the quarter, we've lunch club, we've all of this. It doesn't feel good not to be in that. So when you say it's none of your, like, it's not your concern, how do you manage it? Like how do you go from being that excitable graduate to a Shaolin Temple
Because
monk?
success is a byproduct of things that you do, not a byproduct of things that you feel. Like and the thing is, what you have to understand, and like this is getting a bit deep quickly, right? But ultimately, it's behaviors and actions, right, that are that get you anything. Like you're not gonna build any money by feeling good, by feeling bad. Like, yeah, you might feel motivated, but I promise you, if you don't feel like doing BD and you still pick up the phone, you do it consistently for a month. You wait and see how your desk evolves.
Yeah, it comes around for sure.
100%,
no, I get it.
Right.
So listen, we have to move on. My children are going to be outside in the rain going, where is daddy? Unless we get through this point. Now, number 3, mine. I thought you were going to knock it out of the park here, lad. Mine is learning and development.
Okay.
And what I mean about, I can't believe you didn't do that. What I mean by that is it's the process of continuous improvement. So, like, if you're an IT recruiter, one of the exercises I used to do every evening, this is how sad I was, right? I would draw out the internal structure of what an IT company looks like through all the different stuff. So I'd be able to articulate my way through any conversation, and I'd be able to look at, like, where did all the service providers plug into that? And that's across all the different desks. So I had the enterprise architecture bullshit to be able to talk to senior people. And that made me just that little bit more credible when it came down to asking the right questions to elicit the right responses. There's loads of things I was bad at, and I kind of stayed away from those things, but you get the point. So learning and development and continually learning and finding an edge.
We are aligned. I have got that in a different guise later on. So yeah. So
all right. Okay. Number 4, who do you have? What do you have?
Go on, you go first in this one. Let's mix
all right. Okay. I have winning.
Okay.
So like, you're learning, you're there for the same amount of time, you have the same tools. Like, you survived the first 3 months, 6 months, right? The other person hasn't. Steal their shit. Have a look through it. Like, what have they done? Who have they contacted? They've definitely not followed up. You have an opportunity now to hoover up all the bad work and good work that was done from previous people. You need to survive. If you survive more than the next person, you're going to inherit their stuff. You will win. I would have done anything, right? I used to sit at my desk and let them all go on meetings, and I would just be there, bang, 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 closing deals, right? And we had this thing called candidate review, right? And it meant that we shared our candidates. So I was like, all right, great. You're all just going to do that. I'm going to do BD, build up my portfolio. They'd come in, I go, yeah, job for that person, boom, job for that person, bang, 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 bang. And I got in trouble for it. And I was like, look, don't hate the player, hate the game here, lads. Like, so whatever, but at the same time, when it came down to getting the bonus, getting the money, doing all of that, I was making so much comparatively that they were like, oh, let's just let it slide. So winning in whatever shape that is. Now, my next one is somewhere where I've fallen down on because of this. So I will let you talk about your next point, and then I'll jump into my number 5.
You do 4 and 5. Go for it.
Okay. So navigating corporate bullshit. When you're a snake who's fucking doing deals and making stuff happen, and doing that, right? And you've gamified like how you can build the most money. You're definitely not navigating the corporate side of the game in the right way. And it's very hard to replicate rogue people into being leaders, and definitely very hard to replicate exactly what they do for rookies to come in and emulate that. So whereas I would take shortcuts because maybe I had a bit of more time on the mat, or I had a bit of more intuition, or whatever it was, somebody else coming in is going to try and do that because they see me doing it and making money. they're going to fall over. I'm going to hoover up their desk, and the business doesn't grow, right? So so you have to, these things, like, you do have to win, maybe not as far as I tried to take it, but you also have to play the corporate game. And, when I think of that, I think of my buddy Dara, and, he wasn't the best biller, but boy, could he navigate that corporate stuff? Could he give a speech? It was evident early, right? And sure, he's just been flown to Australia to take over like a 70-man business. It's all paid off. That having a bigger picture on that, it's not just about this, how I build, but how the whole thing works and what point I can play at different stages.
That's a really interesting point, and it also plays into the sales part, because the higher up you go in recruitment, you realize that it's not just candidates and clients you're selling to.
Yeah, right.
You're selling to your consultants, you're selling to your managers. And I guess that's I think that's a really great tip, actually. The one that I always try and sort of relate to is, I'm not a cycling person. I think it's a bit shit, really. It's probably a great and a hard sport.
The image of you in spandex is not working.
Not without a gear over the top, anyway. So
not without a mouth guard, yeah. That's an MMA reference for anybody who didn't get that. Yeah, not on the weird stuff here.
But it's about, obviously, winning is important, right? So your 4 and 5, for me, I think they tie in together. So winning is really important. You want to be winning, but you also want to help the org as well. Like, you want to help other people win, but ultimately it's kind of like a peloton, right? In the way that you all want to help each other, create a slipstream, and you'll go faster than the other teams. But I'm still trying to fucking win that race. Like, I'm going to smoke my competition.
Yeah.
Like, and that for me is a great analogy. Like, you want to be playing the game, play the corporate thing, but you want to win. Like that's key. Okay, let me bring it home, man. Let me bring this home.
Okay, let's go.
So number 4 for me, and this is actually probably not a popular one, but it's one that's unavoidable, and that is activity creates opportunity. And there is no getting around it. There's no.
Geez, he's got to talk about KPIs
now. No, not even KPIs. Just output. Even if it's KPIs are about if it's measured and how you're judged on that measurement, right? Don't worry about that. But in terms of just output, if you didn't have KPIs, just measure what you're doing, how much volume you're getting out. If you're a recruiter, you are trading in CVs, and there is a direct correlation between the work that you do versus the output that you get, hands down. And do not try and fight it. The moment that you start saying, "Oh, well, it's about quality versus quantity," I know you've got issues, right? You've got issues that you're not doing enough. You're trying to justify it. And then number 5,
I have issues.
I think we've all got issues, man. And then number 5 for me is kind of in line with your learning and development one, really, and is to be coachable. Like, I mean, be really coachable, no matter where you've come from, right? No matter what you've done before, you're probably not as good as you think you are in the beginning of recruitment. In fact, you're probably pretty shit, right? In comparison. So just be humble, be coachable, listen to people who know more than you do, and implement and actually try and change what you're doing. And there's no point listening and taking advice and doing training if you don't actually change what you do, because it's those behaviors that actually get you those results, right? So that's number 4 and 5 for me. What are your thoughts on those?
I think we can wrap up on that. No, guys, if you've enjoyed what you've listened to, we've got the Recwired platform launching in the new year. We're busy building, rebuilding, recording, re-recording, refining, putting all these stuff that we're talking about here in terms of process improvement and making something brilliant. Reach out to us. We're going to have the beta launch pretty soon. Be involved. Help us build something that will help the next generation of rookies make you guys loads of money and make the rookies loads of money. So that's us today. Any last words of wisdom?
if you're a billing manager and you are looking to learn from the best and you're listening to this, message somebody from Required, me, Dalta, Andy, Charlotte, doesn't matter who, Georgiana, anyone, Rafa, and ask about the Captain's Club, because that is kicking off right now.
Yeah. So right now we've got 30 of the best billing manager to directors. So basically anybody beneath an MD of a business and an owner. And they're sharing their insights, they're sharing some lessons learned. And if you want to be associated with the best people out there, just reach out. Completely free. And that's us today, folks.